Anduin is without a doubt one of the key characters of the Shadowlands, and currently he appears to be the main agent of Zowal after Sylvanas had betrayed him at the end of Sanctum of Domination. If you watch the developer preview, you know that Anduin is going to be a boss, and obviously, spoiler alert, the actual encounter was datamined, and we have quite a bit of information on what exactly happens in this battle. So is Anduin ultimately going to be saved? Check out Gamivo, this video is sponsored, where you can get almost any game, DLC, Shadowlands, and 2-month game time at discounted prices. Use code Doron for an even larger discount by clicking the link in the description. If you remember at the start, the jailer sent out his flying Dark Kyrian to abduct a few of the most important Azeroth characters, and obviously Anduin proved to be the most important out of all of them. Why he decided to take Bane, I have no idea, but I guess he just cast out his net wide and was like, oh well, that was a mistake. So it turns out that Bane is just going to sit out on this expansion, quite literally sit out. However, Anduin proved to be incredibly useful. I think even the jailer was shocked how potent and powerful the young king actually is. Anduin literally managed to call down the powers of the light into the maw that is seemingly cut off from anything, and it was him that saved us in that moment. Then, Anduin was almost entirely unbreakable, and Sylvanas essentially had to turn him into an agent by force, and even in that moment, his willpower was so strong as he mocked her how she couldn't resist the offer, and how there is in fact another way. Now, even as he was completely broken and turned into a mindless servant, even then he had minor moments of awakening and breaking away from the spell, as we can see it in that Kingsmourn cinematic as he took the sigil from Bastion. Well, fast forward to 9.1 and we finally have some information on what is actually going on and how he's being controlled. So, as you know, the Primus created domination magic to bind the jailer, and the jailer essentially mastered it himself and turned it against everyone. Now, that crystal from Sylvanas' destroyed cinematic is actually the key. We always knew something was going on with that, but we didn't know what exactly. However, now, in the actual encounter, we learned that this crystal is actually what is keeping him in chains. Apparently, inside his blade, Kingsmourn, which used to be Charlemagne, the Sword of Varian, is a very powerful soul known as the Remnant of the Fallen King, which actually manifests itself in the ultimate encounter. The battle revolves around us helping Anduin regain his willpower, which ultimately, when he does get some, it allows him to manifest the source of his domination, which is this remnant, and will most likely fight it and probably defeat it in the end. Now, I already covered this in a different video in more detail, but thus far, we narrowed it down to a choice either Varian or Arthas, but I'm almost certain this remnant is going to be Arthas. Something is obviously going to happen with Varian, because remember that compass that appeared both in the in-game cinematic Anduin's Goodbye and in the Sanctum Domination finale? However, as far as we know, Varian was destroyed before the Machine of Death broke, before the crystal could have reached the jailer, and there are even speculations that his soul may have been completely destroyed by Fel. We just don't really know at this point. However, arguments definitely go in the favor of Arthas. First, we know 100% Arthas' soul is in the maw. There was an entire Afterlife Bastion cinematic that showed how Uther threw his soul there, which almost certainly was an instruction from the jailer, as Zowal planned to use Arthas one last time, probably for a big purpose like this. Then the actual stage of the end encounter is called Kingsmourn Hungers, which is an obvious reference to Frostmourn Hungers, and then this remnant literally has Death Knight abilities, and two exactly the same ones that were used by the Lich King in the final encounter all the way back in Vrad. So really, at this point, most leaks point towards Arthas being the source of domination that is keeping Anduin in chains. Now, unfortunately, we don't have any cinematics and we don't really know how the encounter ends, but seeing as 9.2 is going to be the final patch, or at least the final major patch of the Shadowlands, more than likely we will win in this encounter and help Anduin regain his willpower. Honestly, I would be pretty shocked if we helped Anduin gather willpower, we defeated the Remnant of the Fallen King, and then Anduin would still remain as he currently is, especially as we already attempted to save him and failed on multiple occasions. Now, on the other side, there are also a few more datamined hints. In fact, one datamined Savannas Conversation that is obviously related to Anduin. We don't know who these NPCs are exactly other than Sylvanas, but more than likely this is Jaina or maybe Troll or Bolvar. So a female NPC says if the jailer has breached the Sepulcher, he's but a breath away from enacting his plan. Then a male NPC says we can't allow that to happen. Tell the others what you had told me, probably referring to Sylvanas. Then Sylvanas says you have all witnessed the jailer's power firsthand. Without the means to resist his domination, we have no chance against him. Anduin may be the key if we can save him from... Then she is cut off by a female NPC, more than likely Jaina, who says, how dare you speak of freeing him after all that you have done. Then a male NPC says, Sylvanas was the one that held the Mournblade that put him in chains. Her presence may help free Anduin. And then the female NPC says, I will never trust her. Now, in my opinion, this is a really interesting conversation, but at the same time kinda ridiculous. It is cool and all that they're scolding Sylvanas, and scolding is putting it incredibly mildly, and not exactly being best friends with her, but so many things indicate that she's going to be instrumental now in undoing whatever was done to Anduin. While it is good that at least Sylvanas may undo some damage, I'm not sure how I feel about her playing such a major role. Honestly, when you combine this conversation and the encounter, more than likely she tells us how we will fight him, she gives us the actual instructions, she probably tells us that the remnant of the fallen king, aka the crystal the jailer placed, is the source of his mind control, so we have to just help him get some willpower and then manifest the crystal to break the spell. Of course, at the moment we just have the bits and pieces from everywhere. It is likely that in the coming days, maybe even a day or two after this video, we get some more groundbreaking information that will actually make this crystal clear, pun intended. However, thus far, more than likely this conversation occurs prior to the encounter, and then the encounter unfolds as I previously mentioned. I'm guessing some sort of cinematics are going to be involved in this entire thing, as really this should be the culmination of the entire story. We already had multiple fully rendered awesome looking cinematics with Anduin's storyline, both with his breaking and getting the sigils, and we had multiple in-game ones which are not that high in quality. So obviously, other than the actual jailer encounter, this fight against Anduin should have some sort of a finale cinematic. He isn't just a single Easter egg boss. Additionally, there was a Datamined cinematic called Reforging the Helm, which strongly indicates that a new Lich King will be formed and that the old Jailer of the Damned may be created once again. It is hard to predict who this could be, but one of the options is definitely Anduin. Not a crazy realistic option, but hey, he looks quite a bit like Artist. He's kinda similar to him when he was a Death Knight. Even if he doesn't become the Lich King, this storyline could play into what will actually happen to the young king, as this will obviously be related to the remnant of the fallen king, which is related to the source of his domination. My speculation is, based on how the fight happens, more than likely we'll actually free him in the end, and maybe something will happen with Artis in this ultimate battle. I think the chances are really slim that we're going to lose Anduin, or that we'll fail, or that something really big is going to happen, as in we completely failed. More than likely we'll win against the jailer's #1 weapon Anduin, and then we will get to this entire cosmological battle that will be the jailer boss fight. If you want to learn more about that, I have an entire video covering the spoilers in regards to that end encounter. Now, whether Anduin will actually fully recover or not, it is really hard to speculate on that. We don't know if he's exactly undead or not, or whether he's just simply mind controlled. Blizzard already said in the past that he will never be the same, but it is hard to see whether they just meant that this entire ordeal just took his innocence and this will change his character, or whether Anduin is literally going to remain as an undead Death Knight, or whether his soul will be broken or something like that. Thank you for watching. Check out how the final battle with the jailer occurs by clicking on the screen, and also check out Doronsmovies Academy for videos on real world history. See you next time.